Hello everyone, this is Olga and welcome to my home. I thought it would be fun to do something a little bit more personal, so I asked you guys on Facebook and Instagram if you have any questions for me, and boy did you have questions. Lots of really good questions, so I'm just now sitting down to answer some of them, and you guys had so many awesome questions that there's no way I'm going to be able to get through them all at once, or this video is going to take forever to edit and watch. I'm such an organizer that I couldn't even answer questions without organizing. But you guys asked so many questions that I broke them up into 3 different categories: personal questions, questions that were cooking related or kitchen related, and then I got so many questions from you guys about meal planning and time management. So I'm going to do 3 different videos, and today I'm going to be answering all the personal questions. So let's get started. And I'll just be looking down here at the questions, so that's what I'm reading here. The first question is, what motivated you to start the blog? So one year for Christmas, I thought it would be great to get all of the family recipes that we love, get them all together in one book, and give it to my sisters and my mom for Christmas. Well, it was fun. It was such an awesome project. I worked on it for months. I had so many great plans for that cookbook, and guess what? I only did about a quarter of it because it was just so much work. I never thought it was going to be so much work, but I also found out that it was a lot of fun and I loved doing it. So I did that cookbook. I gave it to my mom and my sisters, and I made one for myself, and I gave it to them. This is it. This was the first cookbook, and my parents were so proud of it. They kept showing it off to all their friends, and before you know it, I had so many people asking me if I could give them the same book. Well, I was a little bit embarrassed to give them this book because it was like, first of all, it was so personal, and it was like homemade and all that, but also it's just so much work to like print it off and put it together and all of that. So I thought it would be an even better idea to open a website, put my recipes on there, and that way I could add all those recipes that I didn't get around to putting in the cookbook because I just simply didn't have the time to do it at the time. And that way I could put in new recipes and cooking tips and all of that. So at the time, I didn't know anything about blogs. Blogs were not that popular, or I wasn't into them, I don't know. But they definitely weren't as prominent as they are today. So I started to look for a way that I could post my recipes online. And that's when I found out about blogging. So I had to first figure out what blogging was, and then I started my blog. So I started it, and I think I did like about 10 or something recipes, something like that. I took the pictures, tested the recipe, and then once I had at least like 10 recipes, that's when I announced it to everybody else and let them see the blog. Before that, I was working on it behind the scenes. Nobody knew about it except for my husband and my family or whatever. So that's how I started. And it's been an amazing experience, and I'm so glad I tried it. It's something that I love doing: cooking, housekeeping, being a homemaker and a wife, and plus I love to write. So I combine all of those things into a blog, and I love it. So let's get on to the next question. What part of Belarus are you from, and how old were you when your family came to America? So I was born in Minsk, that's where my family's from, and we moved here when I was 6 years old. How did you and your husband meet? How did he propose? And what's the hardest part about being a wife? So many questions. Yep, that's right. So many questions. Okay, so my husband and I met in church. We went to the same church in upstate New York, Utica area. That's where we used to live. So we were part of the same group of friends for a long time. I mean, we would sing in the choir together. He was even the leader of the small group that we were in. And we went on trips together with the youth, and we got to know each other a lot as friends. And then we started dating. We started dating actually when Sergi and his family moved to Florida. So when they moved, then we started to date. So it was long distance. I was still in New York. I was going through nursing school. So basically we dated the whole time I was in nursing school. And then as soon as I graduated, he proposed and we got married and I moved down here to Florida. And it's really romantic how he proposed, but I have like all the detailed story written on my blog. I'll post the link in the description box below. But basically, he came to New York, and I was working that night. I was working nights in the hospital, and he went to the hospital, found my car, and then he came back in the morning when I was getting out of work the next day with some roses, I think. Yeah, roses. And he waited for me to get out of work, and he surprised me. I mean, I thought I was hallucinating. And when I saw him, I was like absolutely shocked. Okay, so I'm not going to go into the details of the proposal in the video because it's going to make it way too long. You can read the whole story in my blog. But Sergi proposed to me in December, and we got married in June. And that whole time I was still finishing the last semester of nursing school. So it was a very crazy, crazy year for me. And we've been married for 9 years, by the way. Oh yeah, she also asked, what's the hardest part about being a wife? Well, actually, I love being a wife. It's my favorite part of who I am, being a wife and a mother. But I would have to say, like, the most challenging thing is to find time to spend together. And it's the best part of being a wife because I love spending time with my husband. But when life gets busy, we just have a tendency to sort of, go through all that hectic, busy schedule, and it's hard to find time to spend together. And especially with a baby, trying to find a babysitter and just spending time alone, especially when Sergi's busy at work, I'm busy, and a lot of stuff is going on. So that would have to be it, but definitely worth it. I'm not sure if you answered this somewhere else, but do you still work as a nurse? Because if you have a baby, a food blog, and a job as a nurse, I give up and will be eating ice cream for the rest of the day. That's a good one. And then also, a lot of people ask the same thing: is are you a stay-at-home mom, or do you work? And if you do, how do you balance work, cooking, wife, and being a parent? Okay, so no, I'm not working as a nurse right now. I'm staying at home with the baby. And I actually kind of had to quit without intending to quit. I had a very difficult pregnancy, as most of you know, and I was on IVs pretty much since I was about 16 weeks pregnant and all the way after I had the baby, and I was still getting IVs until the baby was 5 months old. So I've just recently got off the IVs for 3 months now. So I had to quit because of my health. But I'm still not sure if I'm going to go back to working as a nurse or stay home and be a stay-at-home mom and do blogging full-time. So I'm still kind of trying to figure that out. But for now, I'm staying home and I'm blogging. And also, the part of the question was, how do you balance working and blogging and having a family? Well, when we were foster parents with Sergi, we had at least 2 children usually with us. We had 2 babies, and then we had a baby and a 5-year-old. And during that time, I was working and I was blogging. And I would just have to say that, you know what? I think as women, we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect in everything. And there's so much on our plates that we just expect too much of ourselves. And the way that I did it was when I was at work, I was just, working. And I only worked 24 hours a week, 2 12-hour shifts. So during the times that I was working, I wasn't doing blogging and cooking and cleaning the house because I had to come home, I had to sleep, I worked nights, and I still had the babies to take care of. I would do something, either leftovers or like a really simple dinner that night. And then on the days when I would have off, that's when I would do housework, and that's when I would blog. And right now, even with the baby, blogging is just, it takes so much time. And I just have to work around that. When the baby's napping, I blog, or when the baby's napping, I clean or cook or prep dinner or things like that. And sometimes when life gets really busy, you just have to let some things go. And sometimes the house is not perfectly clean, or I'm cooking very simple meals, or I'm asking somebody to babysit the baby while I'm blogging or something. So it's hard to balance it all, and I think we just have to give ourselves some grace. And those of you who are working and have a family, it's very hard, but you have to do what works best for your family. Let's not be too critical of ourselves and put on these high standards for ourselves that we can never achieve, and then we're just so discouraged, and we compare ourselves to people who we think have got it all together. We're just all trying to do the best we can. Is nursing a good job to have as a mom? Why? Do you like it or not? I'm starting my nursing application process soon, and my husband and I would love to be parents one day. I just want to hear from a real nurse and a mom what it's like. I loved being a nurse. I think it's a great, great career for anyone, man or woman. You have so many different options. And when I was not blogging, and I think if you're not like doing something that takes so much of your time, it's great. When I would go to work, I would work as a nurse, I would take care of my patients, I would come home, and then I would be totally focused on my family. Blogging, you're kind of like always having to work it into your life, and it's hard to set boundaries. I think it's like that for most of the time whenever you're doing something in the home, because you always have so many tasks that are never finished. You always have cleaning, you always have laundry, there's always children who need your attention. So it's hard to work in what you do from home because you're at home. You don't have those boundaries that help you distinguish the boundaries where I'm at work, I'm at home. But yes, nursing is definitely great because there's so many different schedules that you can have. You can either work 12-hour shifts or 8-hour shifts. You can work in a doctor's office or you can work in the hospital. So yes, I would have to say that nursing is a great career to have as a mom because, first of all, you learn so much about health that you're able to nurse your family better. There's just so many options with nursing. And I worked night shifts just because I would work nights. Surgery would work during the day. And for a while I was working full time, but then I started working part time. So, you can work around the schedule of your family. And then I was also, before I quit, I was working in the transfer center, and that's more of a desk job, but it's still a nursing job. So like I said, there's so many different options. Pregnancy tips, especially when you're not feeling well. Oh, wow. When I think about my pregnancy, honestly, I want to cry every time. It was so hard. I was so sick the whole time. And when I was on IVs, when I was hospitalized, getting shots every day, I was just not feeling well in general. I would have to say my biggest tip is to not compare yourself to others, because when you're going through a hard pregnancy and you're looking at other people who don't have such a difficult pregnancy, it's hard not to feel sorry for yourself. But that's the one thing I had to tell myself, is not to compare myself to other people, because we're not the same. Nobody goes through the same things. And also to remember what a blessing it is to be pregnant. And I couldn't be pregnant for so long. I thought I would never be able to have children. So when I surprisingly got pregnant, I was so shocked. Honestly, to this day, I'm still so surprised that we have a baby. I'm still so amazed that we have a child. So I was so extremely thankful to be pregnant, even though it was so difficult. So that was another tip. And the third one is to take care of yourself and focus on your health, because at this time you have to focus on how you're feeling, on taking care of your body, because you are growing a human being. So that is such a big, huge job. So focus on yourself, take care of yourself, and try not to stress out. I know that's kind of a hard one, but just be thankful for the child that you're going to be welcoming into your family. What books would you recommend? And then I also had other questions of what books would you recommend for a teenage girl's Bible study? And you guys know that I read a lot. So a lot of the books that I recommend, I have on my Pinterest board. There's a board called Books Worth Reading or something like that. And then I have also in my shop on my blog, I also have a section there called Other Books. And I have a whole bunch of books that I love and I would recommend for anybody to read. You can go and check it out over there, because if I started listing books, we would be here for the rest of the week. How much time do you spend daily in the kitchen? Well, that depends. If I'm just cooking for our family, I would say about an hour. Especially now that we have a baby, I have to be very, very organized in how I do it, because, let's face it, a baby needs so much attention. So what I do is when the baby's napping, I'll prep as much as I can and I'll do as much as I can. And I mean, if he wakes up, I'll just try to keep him occupied with me in the kitchen, give him something to play with. But usually it's about an hour. Now, if I'm blogging, if I'm testing recipes or I'm actually taking pictures and documenting the whole process, that takes a long time, and sometimes it could be all day long. And now Sergi's at work, I'm with the baby, so I kind of have to juggle it around, kind of work around his schedule. If he's happy to play with me in the kitchen, then I'll keep cooking. If he's just cranky, I just have to leave it and, attend to whatever his needs are at the moment. Oh, I love this question. Would love to know when the Lord revealed himself to you and you became a believer. And then the very similar question is Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior? Yes, he is. And how I became a Christian was I was 12. So I was born into a Christian family. I had amazing parents. I had such a great, great family, great grandparents too. So I always knew that I wanted to be a Christian because I saw my parents, my grandparents, how they lived life, and I saw that their faith was such a big part of who they were. And I also saw from an early age how God would answer prayers for me. And I would feel God's presence in my life even from the very, very young age. I made the decision to be a follower of Jesus when I was 12, and it was in my room, just had a bedtime prayer like I always did, and I just knew that I had to make that decision for myself, and I wanted to have a personal relationship with Jesus. And it was the best decision I ever made. I can't imagine going through life without God. He has been the foundation of my beliefs, my values. He is the foundation of our family. And that's why Sergi and I are so similar and our values are so much the same, because we follow God and we follow God's word. And that's our standard for everything. So, and going through good times, going through bad times, I can't imagine going through all those things without God. What's the best thing about having your own baby? Children are a blessing from the Lord. I can't agree more. And I think the best thing is just that they are a blessing in every day in your life. And they're just such a joy. And I love being a mom. Every morning when I wake up, I'm just so excited to spend the day with my little boy. I love watching him experience new things and just showering all of my love and attention on him. Do you think there's another pregnancy in your future? I have no idea. We had a really hard time getting pregnant in the first place, so I don't know. But at this point, it would be very dangerous for my health, so not for a little while at least. How long have you had your blog, and what did you do to make it so popular? Well, I guess I should ask you guys why it's popular. Why do you come to my blog? And I wouldn't say it's that popular, but thank you for visiting my blog. I started the blog at the end of 2011. What I do to do my best at this blog is I try to be consistent. For the first few years, I would post 3 times a week. Now I post at least 2, sometimes 3 times a week as well. I do my very best to test the recipes as much as I can so that they would work out for everybody. That's why I do the step-by-step pictures, and I try to explain it as much as I can. And I post the things that we love to eat as a family. And I try to be sincere and genuine in how I share with you guys. So that's what I do, and I hope that that's why you like it. Any parenting book recommendation? Well, like I said, I have a bunch of books posted on Pinterest and in the shop. But for parenting, I would have to say any book by Kevin Leman. And oh, there's a good one, Parenting with Love and Logic. That's a great book. We just started to be parents right now. We've been reading parenting books for a while because we were fostering, but we haven't been able to practice all those things yet. But we love to read, so hopefully all those books will be helpful. Tips with starting your baby on solids. Do you ever use canned baby food or make it yourself? Okay, so I don't usually use a lot of canned baby food. Only I would say when we're like traveling or something like that. Maybe a few times a month. But for the most part, Nathaniel just eats what we're eating. And I actually have a blog post right now that I'm working on where I talk about all the things that Nathaniel eats and what we did to help him start solids and all that. So you can check it out later. I'll have a lot more details there. Did you breastfeed your son? If no, why not? I breastfed Nathaniel for 1 month and then I had to stop. Now, the reason I had to stop was because I was very nutritionally depleted. I didn't gain any weight in my pregnancy, and I was struggling very much to get any nutrients, and it was just a constant battle for me. So when I went to the hospital to have the baby, I was 105 pounds. So I was in the hospital for 10 days, and I came home, and a little while later, I don't remember exactly, but I was 88 pounds. So I was losing weight all the time, and I just could not gain weight no matter how much I ate. Eventually, they had to put me on TPN, that's nutrition that you get through the IV. And I was on that for a couple months until I gained my weight back and until my lab started to normalize. And I still have to get my blood work checked and all of that. But anyway, so I had to stop because I was losing too much weight. And then also what happened was I ended up getting an infection in my PICC line. That's an IV that you have in your arm that's like a more permanent one. And they had to take it out, and I had to get antibiotics for a while until my body was to clear out all the infection, and then I got another PICC line. You guys probably know that when you're getting antibiotics, you can't breastfeed. So I had to stop breastfeeding, and then the doctors and my husband, my mom, everybody begged me to stop. But it was a hard decision, it was the right decision for us because Nathaniel needs a healthy mom more than he needs my breast milk, and he gets formula, he's fine. If you have to stop breastfeeding, don't beat yourself up about it like I did. It's okay, and formula is not the end of the world. What happened to the kids you used to foster? How long were they with you? Would you consider doing it again? So we were foster parents for about a year with Sergi, and we don't know what happened to the children that were with us because we're not in contact with them. It's up to the parents or whoever adopts them to stay in contact with us, and obviously if they decide not to, then we can't do anything about it. And obviously the state can't tell us anything about them because of privacy issues. So we only know about one little boy that we had. We stay in contact with his family, so we know how he's doing, but we don't know how the rest of them are doing. And how long they stay with us, it depends on the situation. I mean, it could be we had a few children that were with us for like a week, and then 2 of them we had for 7 months, and another boy we had for 3 months, I think. So it depends on the situation. And we would definitely want to do it again. We loved being foster parents. It was such a great experience. We had to stop because I was so sick when I was pregnant. So hopefully when Nathaniel gets a little bit older, we'll start doing it again. We can't wait. Sergio and I recorded a bunch of videos about marriage and family. We were doing a small group in our church. And in one of those videos, we talked a lot about foster parenting, why we started doing it, our experience, and all of that. So if you're interested, I'll put a link in the description down below and you can hear more about it if you're interested. When your baby gets sick, do you believe in treating it with home remedies, or do you believe in antibiotics, which doctors prescribe for everything these days? Well, I think there should be a healthy balance of both. If at all possible, I try to take care of sickness or any kind of illness with a home remedy or something that does not include antibiotics. But you know what? You need to be open to the idea of antibiotics or other things as well. I would not be alive today. I would not be able to have a baby if it was not for medical intervention. And I'm extremely grateful for that. So as much as possible, I try to regulate my health with diet and exercise and lifestyle. And that's what I do on a daily basis. But there's times when you do need antibiotics and you can't dig in your heels and tell the doctors that you're not going to do it if your baby needs it or you need it. So I think there has to be a healthy balance of both. I don't think you should be giving antibiotics all the time. And I think most baby sicknesses can be treated at home, but you don't want to drag it out so far that then it's, your baby's going to need to be hospitalized. No way would I want that. But like I said, balance is the key here. What language do you speak at home with your husband and son? What about your siblings? We speak both English and Russian. I try to speak Russian mostly to Nathaniel just because I want him to be familiar with it. I know he'll pick up English in no time, but we speak English a lot with my husband and with my siblings, even with my parents. So we speak both. Was it different to be a foster mom versus being a mom to Nathaniel? What surprised you most in motherhood? It's different and it's not different. Those children that we had, they were as much part of our family as Nathaniel is. The only thing I would say that's different is that I know that I have a future with Nathaniel. With the foster children, I knew that there was always the big possibility that they're going to be taken either back to their family or moved somewhere else or adopted by somebody else. And of course, we would love to adopt, but that's not always the case with foster care. Not all the children are up for adoption. So that was the hardest thing, is saying goodbye, and that's the best thing about having Nathaniel is I know he's part of our life forever. Also, when I had Nathaniel, it gave me such a deep love for those children that do come from those homes that are struggling, and it gave me such an appreciation for my family. And I want to be part of foster care even more now because I think every child deserves to be loved. Look who woke up from his nap. Nathaniel. So I'll have to be wrapping it up. But as I was saying, becoming a mom to Nathaniel gave me even more of a heart for those children that are in disruptive families. And it made me want to love them and take care of them even more. And I can't wait to get back to it. And I think it's the same experience for my husband. We've talked about it, and we definitely want to do it again. We want to become foster parents, and I think it's going to be a great experience for this little guy too. So that'll be the end of the questions, and like I said, I'll be doing more videos very soon to answer the rest of your questions. Thank you so much for visiting my blog, for trying my recipes. I really appreciate when you guys take the time to comment and interact with me through social media, and it's great. I feel like I get to know you guys a little bit better. Thank you for watching, and now I think it's time to give some attention to my Nathaniel and start dinner. Yeah? All right, bye guys.